Now, as a reminder, you guys, make sure you stay tuned to the very end of the video. We'll be doing a small reading of these awesome children's books my children had chosen for these projects. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back into Barley Studios. Now, today in the studio, we're going to have a blast. We're going to do some painting, some crafting, as well as just some overall fun content. We are also going to be doing some book reading along the way also. So sit back and enjoy, guys. This is going to be a blast of a video. Let's get to it. Now, if you clicked on this video, you probably already know that we're going to have a blast painting some pumpkins. We're also going to be doing some sculpting and some crafting along the way with paper products and a lot of glitter. Now, here are some of the rules for these types of projects. One, it has to be a real pumpkin. In the past, I've really wanted to do the plastic pumpkins so the kids can keep them for a little bit longer in their rooms, but it is just a real pumpkin painting scenario. And that's just so that anybody can go to like a Walmart or a Food Line and just get a small pumpkin and then paint it out. And you don't have to buy something plastic that can be ranging upwards of $15 to $20 to $30 at a local Michael's or Hobby Lobby. So it needs to be a real pumpkin. It also can only be but so big. So we're going to just do a small version of a larger one. And of course we have our other pumpkin carving coming up later in the season. But today it's more so just about crafting the pumpkins. Now, another rule is that you cannot cut into the pumpkin, so it has to be just painted, glued on, and things like that. Now, there are some little difficulties with gluing things to a waxy surface pumpkin, and we'll kind of get into that later on in the process. It also needs to be a book character because it is kind of hosted from their internal library at the school. So what I normally will do is I will ask the kids to pick one of their most favorite books and pick a character in that book, and then we will try to make it that character. Last year in the 2024 season, we actually made it a kitty corn, so it was like a kitty who wanted to be a unicorn. But this is the 2025 season, and we have 2 children, so we are going to be doing 2 pumpkins. Now that is super exciting, you guys. Not only does it allow us to maybe just craft more and paint more in the studio, but it also applies a little bit of stress to me because we only have a whopping 2 days to create all of the attachments and paint this to perfection. 2 days for drying clay or anything like that is a strain on the crafting process, but it is completely okay. I know, you want to know what characters and what books we are introducing to this project, and we're going to get to that now. Now, as a last reminder, for these pumpkin painting videos for 2025, whichever one you're watching, we are going to be allowing the kids to do majority of this work. I, of course, will be assisting them. I will be doing a little bit of the sculpt work on some of the anatomy pieces that are attached to the pumpkins. But for the most part, when it comes to painting and glitter and gluing and cutting out the paper and glittering paper or anything like that, the kids are doing majority of that. My daughter really does take off, and of course she's did one of these last year for the kitty corn, and we're using a lot of the same techniques because of the type of character we're choosing this year. It's very fun, very cool. But just be aware that I am assisting the kids in doing so. If you are a kid and you are watching this, and this isn't necessarily a children's made content video, do not be worried that you can't achieve some of the more advanced techniques that I may have in this video. Have fun with the process. If you want to make something out of paper or toilet paper rolls or anything like that, just enjoy yourself. Have fun. Throw some paint on the pumpkin. Draw some eyes. Make some nostril holes. And just enjoy the process. That is the most important thing when we are making art on our journey or in the studio or wherever you are. And that's even if it's on the bathroom wall with a tube of toothpaste. So remember that these are a little bit more advanced pumpkins. Enjoy your process, enjoy the journey, and let's get into introducing these book characters. All right, you guys. So the book character that my daughter had chosen is the Little Dragon. Now, this is a really great series. And I say series because as soon as you open it up to the first page right here, there's a map of an enchanted world. The land of Nod, like nodding off to sleep. Maybe that, like sleeping. Land of Nod, very cool. Now, this is a great series for kids, and I like how big the books are, and they have very vibrant, beautiful colors. Very cool. I'd like to do some art pieces on that. That'd be kind of interesting to how like bright those colors of dragons are. They have different kind of creatures and mythical beasts in the series. Now, this one is about a, you got it, little dragon. And it's called 10 Minutes to Bedtime. They're all called 10 Minutes to Bedtime, and they're all like countdown style to when you need to go to sleep. Little Dragon is the character here. And this is the little dragon that we're going to be creating here in this content video. So, of course, we're going to be focusing on the actual head of the dragon itself to create that pumpkin-like kind of shape. Now, one thing is that the nose, you never see it like forward-facing. It's always from the side. It's easier for animation and like illustrations and stuff like that. But we do have to like create that in like a 3D kind of texture to go onto the pumpkin, which is kind of interesting. So you just make it up from scratch. Now, this is a magical best-selling bedtime series from Rhiannon Fielding and Chris Chatterton. Yeah, Chatterton. So it's a great series. Just as a synopsis before we get into the actual crafting of this pumpkin painting, it's 10 minutes to bed. But little dragons Flash and Flicker are not ready to go to sleep. Join them as they sweep through the skies on an adventure, counting down to bedtime as they go. This best-selling series is the perfect way to help little ones into a bedtime routine. And they have little unicorns, little monsters, little mermaid, and little dinosaurs, which is very cool. And of course, there's a little dragon. Now, we actually have all of these books, and we've collected them over the last few years for the kids, and it's a really great series. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the crafting of this awesome little dragon, and let's get started.
And spin it gently. Cool, right? All right, so this is gonna be the back because that's the got the dents in it, and then this is gonna be the front, right? So.
But it has to do this.
But look. All right.
Like.
So there's our pumpkin.
Side, because see, the side.
This is our pumpkin. This is our subject. Do this with your hands. Subject. All right. Subject. All right. And the book that we're gonna be doing is called what?
Dun, dun, dun. 10 minutes to bed. Little dragon.
Little dragon. Very
so
cool.
This is what we're going to do this year.
This is
we're
the
doing
2025
project.
This is the 2025 season.
We only have two more days.
2 more days. We got to do all of this in 2 days. So we're going to start off by painting, and we're going to let it dry. And then we're going to sculpt some pieces, and then we'll paint them tomorrow and glitter them, and then attach them, and then they'll be ready for the next day, which we have to deliver them to the school. Cool.
But we're taking them back on Halloween.
So this,
if we don't, they will crush them.
If we do not pick them up by the end of the week, they will crush them. That is correct. So very cool. So this year for her entry into the participation pumpkin painting, it's going to be 10 minutes to bedtime, little dragons, and then we're going to go ahead and start painting. Sounds good? All right.
All right, everybody, so let's just go ahead and jump into this awesome voiceover here. Now, we're going to begin by just pulling out this leftover kind of recycled pie pan. It's the one, it's like the really large ones that you get from Costco and like Sam's Club and things like that. And I usually just try to save some of those plastic container lids and pans, and we'll do painting on them and different arts and crafts that tend to be kind of messy. So I'm going to go ahead and score off and break off the stem of the pumpkin. We do not need that for this particular project. Looking pretty good. Now all you have to do is just score it on all sides, just with like a serrated knife, and then just break it off. It's pretty easy to do so. We're going to put the pumpkin on top of our little turntable here, as well as just this pie pan. And I'm going to go ahead and mix up a little paint here. So we're using a little bit of magenta as well as titanium white. And I did not mix that for her. She is going to mix this on her own and go ahead and apply this liberally around the entire pumpkin. Now, one thing that you'll notice about the dragon is the front of the head is pretty much like a light pink, almost like a hot light pink color. And then the back of the head is a little bit more dark. So we're going to let her use majority like just pure magenta for the back of the head. And it will kind of give us like a two-tone ombre effect, with a little bit more of it being that like nice, bright, hot pink color. So she's going to go ahead and base coat this all the way around. We really don't paint the bottoms of the pumpkins very much, not in situations like this where it's going to be sitting on the countertop anyways. I did that last year for the pink, what's it, the kitty corn pumpkin, but it's really not necessary. You really don't have to do that. It does create more mess, and it can get like paint on your desktop and things like that. So it's just easier to keep the paint, the bottom of it unpainted, so where you can handle it a little bit better. There's that magenta there. You can see a distinct color change between the two. It's looking pretty good. Now, one thing that you'll notice, as I stated in the previous videos when we do pumpkin paintings, is that, of course, the pumpkin has a very waxy surface. So, the more time that you can give your paint to cure up, the better. The adhesion between the layers. You can also paint quite a few layers onto the pumpkin, and it does help create more of like a thicker layer of paint. But even when you're like gluing things onto your paint and your pumpkin, it does have a tendency to pull. So you can't get scuffing on your paint layers because it's against that waxy surface. Now, I went ahead and sculpted a few of the items for my daughter just to kind of expedite it. Remember, we only have like 1 day, maybe 1.5 days to get all of the sculpt work and all of the painting done. So we don't have any time to dilly daddle. No diddle daddling around here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and sculpt out the scales that go down the center of the head onto the back of the head. Now I'm going to sculpt them and we're going to bake them, but she's going to do all the painting and all the glitter work on those. I'm also going to sculpt in like a snout slash mouth, and I started this as one piece of clay, and then I actually broke it apart into 2 pieces of clay, and I'm also going to sculpt on a little itty bitty horn. Now, one thing you'll notice if you ever read the book is that it always shows the head of the dragon from the side view. It's never from the forward-facing view, so you really don't know what the 3D version of the snout would look like. So we're just kind of using our mind's eye and what we feel like it should look like to go ahead and sculpt out the snout. It doesn't have to be super extraordinary. I mean, after all, we were kind of sculpting this just really quick and really easy and just getting it into the oven so that we can get the project moving along. I just want to make sure it's at least remotely similar to what I think the depiction of the snout would be on the dragon. So, also, I used a ball stylus tool here to go ahead and bore out the nostril holes a little bit. Those need to be black if we go along with the overall paint job that the original book had. So the nostrils will be a black. The actual snout will be a pink, and then of course the horn will be like a yellow glitter color. I really didn't anticipate using as much glitter for her project as we did, but I'll tell you what, boy, did we use a lot of glitter later on in the later stages of this project. Now, alright, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to let her paint the scales that are going to go down the head of the dragon. So we're going to give her a turquoise color, same color that I gave my son to paint the pumpkin with, and we're going to let her just go ahead and give it a base coat over the scales. And then once this is dried up a little bit, we'll let her Mod Podge some glitter on there as well before we let it cure up, and then they're added to the project later on in the assembly process. So we'll let her go ahead and paint these out, and then we'll apply a little bit of glitter. It's just an aftermarket glitter. It's not some special glitter that I had to order on a high-end like a glitter site or Glitter Champ or any of those other really popular glitter suppliers that we have at our arsenal. But it is really fun to let her just choose the right color for the project at hand. I'm glad I had that glitter color on hand at all, so it turned out pretty good. She also was painting the bottom of the scales. I told her not to do that. You really don't have to do that because it's going to be making contact with the bottom of the pumpkin, and it really didn't matter. I also told her that once we get the pumpkin back from the school, the school library, what we'll probably do is we'll probably just pop these off of the pumpkin itself and lay them in the garden. Or the mulch along the side of the driveway, and whatever lasts, however long it survives, it'll be just a little bit colorful, like little stones out there until they deteriorate. Alright, so up next is the painting of the snout and the horn. Now I gave her 3 colors here. It's like a sunshine yellow, the same magenta color to match the body of the pumpkin, or the head of the dragon, and then that titanium white to lighten that color a little bit and give it the same overall light pink color. Remember, because this is going to go on the front of the dragon, which has that light hot pink color, not the pure magenta, which is darker on the back of the head. Now, she starts off really good with this. She paints the horn yellow, and then she just goes into the pink, which is really great. And then all of a sudden, she starts to get kind of like inspirational, and she wants to kind of mix a lot of colors and paint it in certain ways, and going extra and above and beyond. Okay, we have a tendency to be a little bit extra here in Byro Studios. Yes, we do. Hence us taking clay and putting it on pumpkins for a simple painting pumpkin entry into the local library. So, yeah, we can be a little bit extra. It's just the fun of the crafting process, though. Looking pretty good there. She's doing an amazing job. And then once it's kind of finished out there, we probably do like one more layer of yellow over the nose, just kind of thicken that paint out a little bit before we apply a little bit of yellow glitter to that. Oh, I'm jumping the gun and getting ahead of myself now. Let me rein it in. Now she painted the nostril holes of that magenta color, and we're actually not going to keep that in there. Here is her applying some of that pink paint to the horn, just wanting to go a little wild with it. Okay, that's fine. Have fun. And we'll come back to the glittering process later on in the content video. Now here is a new type of clay that I wanted to try, and I was in Walmart looking at the clay selections, and they really didn't have what I really wanted. They really didn't have what I wanted in stock, and I usually would like to get like an air dry clay or even like a kid's version of like a paper clay. And when I'm speaking of this, I'm thinking of a specific brand, honestly, and that is Creative Paper Clay, and that's Delight Clay. Now, I couldn't find that in my local Walmart, and that's just where I was at the time to buy the clay for this particular really quick project, because I bought everything and we built the entire project in a day and a half. So between me buying the pumpkin, getting the materials, putting it all together, and then delivering it cured with dried paint and glues and stuff is 2 days. It's very fast. Anyways, so in previous builds of the kitty corn, we used a Delight Creative Paper Clay Delight, and it was an amazing product. It dried really quick. It dried really good. Now this clay for these horns that we use is Crayola air dry clay. It is not designed for this. It does not hold its shape. It sags. It like gravity takes its effect on it. And in the project for my son, where we made the pout pout fish for his project, I ended up having to use armature wires in it just to keep it literally upright and long enough for it to dry and for us to paint it. Once it's dried up, it's pretty stout overall. It has to like create like a shelled effect on the outside, very similar to like if you leave a marshmallow out on the table. It takes a while for that outside jacket or outside shell of the marshmallow to harden up, but then the inside is still pretty soft and like kind of like mushy. And that's the same consistency I got out of the Crayola clay. It's like a marshmallow, and it's not, it's great, it's good, it's fun to have fun with it, but it's just not designed for this. Now here we are applying a little bit of paint and glitter and stuff to the eyes. I'm using Mod Podge here, what my daughter is, and she actually cut these little eyes out by freehand all by herself. She did an amazing job. Last year we had actually made the eyes out of clay, but I really wanted to like kind of throw things around and use a lot of different mediums. So both kids were able to use a little bit of paper in their projects this time. And I just gave her the colored paper that she needed, the yellow and the black, and she actually cut the eyes out on her own. And by doing so, we were able to make the eyes extremely large and not just form fit to the size of the pumpkin. It really let her kind of like, just use her artisticness and use the scissors. She wanted to use scissors, which is always a fun thing to do. A lot of times we always tell our kids, don't play with scissors, don't play with scissors. It's good to actually just hand them a pair of scissors and say, here, have fun with this process. And we, at the spur of the moment, decided to glitter the eyes with the black and the yellow. So we do use the yellow on the horns, both the two on the top of the head as well as the one on the front snout. And then we use that same yellow on the actual half moon yellow eyes that are on top of the black. So we use that black glitter, and then we also use a little bit of like, it's like a yellow bird glitter or a sunshine glitter or something. It's yellow. It's a yellow glitter. Up next, I gave my daughter a variety of choices for the pink glitter to attach to the outside of the pumpkin. Now, originally, I was just going to let her put a little bit of like little dabs of the glitter on there, but instead, I just let her go with it. I gave her a lot of Mod Podge, and I said, hey, just go ahead and paint the glitter on the entire upper half of the pumpkin, and let's go ahead and just throw these on. And that's indeed what we did. She chose a generic version, a generic brand of glitter here. You can get those at Walmart or Michael's, and they come in those like little squat square containers. And this was an extremely flaky, chunky glitter, but when you're applying it over like a nice pink base like what we have here, it looks really shiny and really good. There's us hot gluing those scales into place. I did hot glue them, and then she just kind of put them into position where she would like them. And now we're going to use hot glue to attach the eyes that my daughter made as well. Making sure to put them on the right side so that little eyelash is up and then towards the back of the horn there. Now we're just going to let everything dry up overnight. Alright guys, as promised, we're going to go ahead and read this little book here on camera. Now, this is 10 Minutes to Bedtime, Little Dragons. Now this is a little bit of a larger book than the last one we read, which was the Pout Pout Fish. Of course, as we open up the book, you have the Land of Nod. And it has all sorts of things. You have unicorns up here. You have little monsters. You have a glittering bay, gloomy dens. There's the dragons up there around the volcano / mountain peaks. You have sea dragons. You have mermaids down here. All very cool. There's even a giant's town in the very middle of the book map. Very cool. I like how that's illustrated. Oh, look at that. And there's outer space. You never know what may be coming later on down the road with this series. Let's get started. Above a black mountain that towers so high, bright jets of flame burst and light up the sky. 10 minutes to bed. The air hums with the sound, and the soft thud of beating wings echoes around. Everywhere dragons, look out below. They zoom through the skies in a fiery red glow. It's 9 minutes to bedtime, and no one flies quicker than one little mischievous dragon called Flicker. Speeding along, Flicker soared and he swooped. He flew through the sky in a huge loop-de-loop. I'll race you, he called to his big sister Flash. 8 minutes to bed, so you better not crash. The other young dragons were all well behaved. 7 minutes they flew home to nest in their caves. But in all the commotion, not one of them spied an egg rolling fast down the steep mountainside. Oh no! Flicker and Flash were not ready for bed. A little bit further, 6 minutes, they said. Darting and diving, they laughed as they flew. 2 streaks of color that burst through the blue. In the distance, a rainbow shone bright in the sky. A unicorn wish, whispered Flash with a sigh. 5 minutes to bed, we should turn back around. But her brother had seen something down on the ground. With a whoosh, Flicker landed, his small wings spread wide. Flash followed him, tiptoeing close by his side. On the ground lay an egg that shone purple and black. And as Flicker watched it, it started to crack. Sniffing it gently, he nudged it with his nose. The lost egg rolled forward and stopped by his toes. 4 minutes, said Flash. Can you carry it, Flicker? He smiled. There's no other dragon who's quicker. He picked up the egg and then, taking great care, Flicker launched himself upwards back into the air. 3 minutes to bed. The sky had grown dark, but Flash lit their way with a shower of sparks. Soon, flying swiftly, the 2 dragons saw this distant black mountain and far seashore. 2 minutes to bed, said a bird as it passed. You're nearly back home, but that egg's hatching fast. They settled the egg on the small pile of leaves. where a big mummy dragon looked very relieved. Crack! First a wing, then a tail, then a horn. The new baby dragon emerged with a yawn. Flicker and Flash crept back home to their nest. 1 minute to bed, at last, time to rest. They stretched out their wings and they snuggled up tight, and soon they were soaring through soft, starlit night. And of course, the land of Nod looks a little bit different at night. It's all dark and all of the critters are asleep. The mermaids went to bed. What else is there? The dragons are sleeping in their cave. There's a dinosaur laying down. And then, of course, the little monsters inside of its house. And even up there, there's a unicorn that's fallen asleep in the ancient forest. And then there's outer space as well, which is kind of open-ended. Very cool book, you guys. And my daughter picked that out. She did a great job picking out this character for the 2025 season. And here are the last highlight clips of this pumpkin completely finished out. She did an amazing job on the glitter work. And we look forward to the next season. Whether it be for the Carolina Classic Fair or maybe the school entries, we don't know. We'll talk about that as we roll into the next season, or whether or not we want to include pumpkins in either one or both, or we'll see how it turns out. Otherwise, guys, I appreciate you watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we will catch you on the next awesome crafting video from Byerly Studios. High five. Boom.